Hi everyone, and welcome to the monthly horoscopes for June, which is actually looking to be a really gorgeous month, which I'm very excited to say because of course March and April were a little bit volatile to say the least, so this is actually quite exciting to deliver some good news for once. So I'm going to break these into little sections and rather than do them in one whole video. So I'm going to start with Aries, Taurus, Gemini and Cancer. So if you're an Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer rising or sun, then you can watch this and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So I'm going to start with Aries. So if you are in Aries, June the 5th, Venus enters Taurus in the second house. So Venus has been in your sign where it is debilitated. So you won't have that focus on being very magnetic and attractive, but you will have really nice harmony with finances and diet. So Venus is exalted in Taurus. It really likes to be there. So it's already going to bring an extra level of harmony. In that second house of income, you could find there's a lot of harmony with finances. So if you want to ask for a salary increase, you find that your boss is a little bit more susceptible to giving you a raise. You could also find that you are making more money through what I call sudden events, like money just kind of like flies out of nowhere. You're like, oh, I just found 20 quid on the floor. That kind of event normally happens when Venus is in Taurus. It also will have you feeling very sort of creative and really happy as well. So this is a really nice transit and it'll be there for all of June as well. June the 8th, Mercury enters Cancer in your fourth house. So Mercury has been in Gemini and where it's obviously exalted and moves into Cancer now. So this is preparing you for a little bit more of a focus on getting roots and your communication being more sort of emotional and a little bit more empathetic, I would say, as well. It's also a little bit more nostalgic as well. So you could be finding balance in your childhood and your adulthood and how to balance those kind of thoughts. It's also a really nice time as well to communicate things with your family. And also if you're in a career where you're working in environmentalism or anything to do with a country, for example, like you're working with protecting your country, then this is a really good time to communicate ideas around that. June the 9th is the biggie because Jupiter enters Cancer in the fourth house. And this is really lovely because, of course, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, whereas it was debilitated in Gemini. So this is going to bring great potential for spiritual enlightenment. And, of course, Jupiter will expand what is near it and the house it's in. Always check for your natal chart to see where Jupiter is, what's expanding, what is it near. So in the fourth house of home and family, this is quite literally a very good sign for fertility and blossoming. And I'm not a medical astrologer by any means, so don't take that as gospel. But not only when Jupiter is in Cancer in the house of home and family, that is great for expanding a family, building a home, even renovating a home and building something extra like an annex or like a conservatory. That's a really good sign. Also, Jupiter will bring a lot of luck and success, but again, it will also expand and help you grow in this area too. So you might also find that your feelings around this kind of particular house start to grow too. June the 11th, we have a full moon in Sagittarius in the 9th house. So this to me is a full moon where you're kind of letting go of any negative energy, especially when it comes to, anything that's been zapping your aura. You're like, you're really boring and you're kind of manipulating me. I don't want this in my life. The full moon in Sag will basically give you an element of adventure for the future and for summer particularly. 9th house is where Sagittarius kind of belongs because it's ruled by Jupiter. So it really likes to be there. So this is like freedom, full, fun-loving kind of full moon, really igniting a quest for adventure. And, I really just think this is letting go of something you don't need, moving on to traveling as well, a period of traveling over summer, and maybe even leaving a period of study as well to move on to something else. June the 17th, Mars enters Virgo in the 6th house. This is interesting because Mars in Virgo, really in the 6th house as well, which is where Virgo is, this is like an ideal time to really prioritize your self-care, your physical health routine, your wellness routine, trying to clear up any issues with co-workers, try not to get too angry with this as well, because Mars in Virgo is quite particular. It's trying to find tits on an ant. So it's kind of like self-criticism and obsessing over flaws and maybe even having that imposter syndrome, but working through those feelings and trying not to get too angry at it. Mars in Virgo is a little bit like angry at yourself because you're not good enough in a certain area, especially with your physical health. Maybe it's like, I don't look as aesthetic as I should, I don't feel as strong as I should, or maybe I'm not where this coworker is, yet we're on the same level. What's going on here? So just be kind to yourself during this period. June the 20th, we have the sun entering Cancer, which is the summer solstice. So of course, Aries season, which is your sign, would normally kick off the sort of spring solstice, but now we have the summer solstice, and this is like the longest day of the year. Great time to celebrate with loved ones in that fourth house of home and family. If you can hang out with your family or friends, it's a nice time to do so. June the 25th, we also have a new moon in Cancer in the fourth house. This is really nice as well. This is very lucky energy, actually, and I'll talk about this when I do a separate video. But this is really good new moon for manifesting and putting down roots. So that Jupiter is in Cancer in that fourth house. So this new moon is like getting the ball rolling and manifesting that energy. And also remembering that your emotions are your source of strength. And sometimes Aries have to be the one that is always taking responsibility and always having to be the leader and doing everything for everyone else. But actually, it's a time to remember that it's not weak for me to listen to myself and my own emotions. And then finally, to wrap the month up, we have June 26th, Mercury entering Leo in the fifth house. So this is a interesting energy. Mercury in Leo is like very confident, very bold, saying words and really meaning them. Actually being very cautious with grand declarations, because sometimes it could be like, I love you, and then it's like, I'll get my coat. So it's just a little bit like, okay, what's going on here? And you might not be able to follow through with those grand declarations. So sometimes it's like, okay, just be a little bit careful. Leo is a fire sign, so of course it's going to be bold and passionate, and it rules the heart as well. In this fifth house for you, Aries, you want to speak from the heart. You want to be passionate and creative and be like, yeah, let me just blow everything up. But actually, sometimes it's good just to sit back and say, I want to be bold, I want to be confident, but I have to choose the right words here. Overall, Aries, I just want to mention that Saturn is in your sign now as well, and so is Neptune. So those two will be playing things in the background for you. Saturn will be in Aries for a couple of months, so it's not going to be forever. It's a bit of a striptease. It will be back in 2026 until 2028, so that is when it really starts. But I just want to say that if you are worried about Saturn in Aries, I've made videos before where you can watch them. It's only going to be from 0 to 1 degree, so it's unlikely to affect many people who have Saturn in Aries. And also, I think actually, if anything, it's giving people a lot of motivation. A lot of people, speak to me on TikTok and YouTube, and even family and friends have said, I really feel like I'm getting in with gym routine. I feel motivated. As for me in particular, even though I've been a bit sick this week, I've been doing so much stuff. So I think Saturn in Aries can be quite good in certain areas too. And so can Neptune in Aries, because it makes us realize, why can't I have what I want? I can have whatever I want. Why not? So that's the kind of energy. So if you're an Aries, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll move on to Taurus. Hi Taurus, how are you doing? So this is going to be your monthly horoscope for June, and let's just get started. And actually the start of the month is going to be great for you because Venus enters your sign June the 5th, first house of self. Venus is exalted in Taurus, so this is going to make you the most magnetic and attractive sign of all the zodiac signs this month. How exciting. And it's going to be there all month as well. So of course when Venus is in Taurus, it likes to be there, so it's already going to add that extra whammy of harmony. But of course in the first house of self, you have more opportunity to get whatever the hell you want. It's just great energy. People are going to be more susceptible to wanting things from you. They're going to feel that kind of lovey-dovey passion, and also you are going to be able to kind of, I would say, manipulate certain opportunities for people to see you in a favorable light. So if you want to get something at work, you want to get a partner, you want to do something, it's the best time to do it because Venus is going to be in your sign. June the 8th, Mercury enters Cancer in the third house. So when Mercury is in Cancer, it's a little bit nostalgic. Obviously, Mercury rules the third house, and Cancer is very about the home and family, which is more stable and more about roots as well. So this definitely could give an energy of a bit more of a sentimental kind of communication, or thinking a little bit more about other people in your life. I find that when Mercury's in Cancer, it always makes me think about texting somebody I probably shouldn't. So if you don't, if you are thinking about that, I will say it. Do not text him just because the sun's out. Okay? It's never going to be good. But Mercury in Cancer will add a bit of an extra nostalgia to things. June the 9th, Jupiter enters Cancer in the third house. This is a biggie. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. It likes to be there. It did not like to be in Gemini. So this is going to bring great expansion to this third house of communication, writing, projects, and productivity routine. So great opportunity to have a lot of conversations with people, be a social butterfly, make more friends. Also really great if you've been wanting to speak to someone that you're in no contact with. You could basically manifest that energy because Jupiter is expansive, but it's also very lucky too. So ask and call upon Jupiter to give you some luck, and that will do so. Also great for writing a novel, doing a thesis, studying, like doing an exam, for example. and creating a new productivity routine that really works for you as well. Generally, this is probably not the most exciting house to have Jupiter in, because it's like, yeah, well, that's not very nice, it's boring. It is just generally quite nice, and it does bring a lot of good instinctual energy to you as well. June the 11th, we have a full moon in Sagittarius in the 8th house. This is a full moon that marks the fact that summer is really here. And what I like about this is that you're leaving behind any kind of emotional bond that you've had with somebody that has really drained you, or even a physical bond, like a friends with benefits, or somebody where they're messing you about and you're like, you only want me for one thing, or you're not giving me the deep commitment that I really want. You're kind of leaving that behind. You could also be paying off a debt as well, or maybe even severing a connection you have with somebody that you shared finances with, for example. This is a nice full moon because, as I say, you're moving on to something more exciting, more adventurous. Sagittarius is kind of like, I don't really give a fuck. And I can say that because I'm Sagittarius, and sometimes we're just like, bye, never look back. So that's that kind of energy. June 17th, Mars enters Virgo in the 5th house. This is interesting as well because Mars is about courage, productivity and sex drive. 5th house is very much about dating, creativity and children, and can be very spicy and sexy itself. So these two together could bring a boost to your libido or anything like that, or just generally feeling very physical. This is also an ideal time to connect with your body and actually prioritize self-care, working out, making sure all of your doctor's appointments are on are on schedule. And also if you have children as well, making sure that they are, looked after and everything is all right there as well. Which is one of those things where you have to kind of check when Mars is in Virgo. Also, it's a little bit of perfectionism as well. So if you're doing a creativity project like art, or you're doing something that's a little bit more, artistic and expressive, try not to get too, self-critical about it or being like, it's got to be perfect. And I say this because I am somebody that really wants to be a painter, but I am so perfectionist because my Capricorn rising is like, it's got to be perfect first time, even though I don't know how to paint and draw. So how can I end up being like Picasso on the first go? So it's kind of one of those energies because Virgo can be very self-critical. So just like yourself, focus on being free and flowing rather than picking at things. June the 20th, we have Sun entering Cancer, which marks the summer solstice, which is the longest day of the year. Again, in that 3rd house, great time to spend time with family, communicate, have a long conversation with somebody, be around people where you're being very intellectually stimulated, or even basically make a plan for the summer where you're doing something very productive and you're feeling like you're just, I'm on top of things. June 25th, kind of in the same vein, we have a new moon in Cancer in the 3rd house. Very lucky day, actually. This is probably one of my favorite new moons. This is really gorgeous to put down roots again and get the ball rolling for what Jupiter is doing when it's in Cancer. So productivity, writing, communication, a sense of knowing that your emotions are your source of strength, kind of pushing that along. June 26th, Mercury enters Leo in your 4th house. Mercury in Leo is interesting because it's very bold communication, so you're saying things with real meaning and from the heart, especially when it comes to home and family. You might want to, say something to your family that you've been meaning to say, and it's bold and it's like, I've just got to come out with it. But be careful about making a declaration that you can't take back or you can't follow through on. It's kind of like, I've got to be bold, but I have to be, mindful that I need to follow through on these things. So Taurus, overall a really lovely month for you as well, and I hope you enjoyed that. So I'll move on to Gemini. If you are a Gemini, then we're in the last days of having Jupiter in Gemini, so please soak up that look while you've got it because it will be moving into Cancer this month. So let's just kickstart the month for you, Gemini. June the 5th, Venus enters Taurus in your 12th house. Venus is exalted in Taurus, so it really likes to be there. This brings a lot of harmony. In the 12th house, you could find that you have some harmony with your mental health, feeling a lot more joy. You could also find that this is a fantastic time to manifest as well, especially when it comes to love and luxury, because the 12th house really focuses on that subconscious mind as well. You could also find that you have a lot more harmony with stability when it comes to actually being able to challenge any negative thoughts in your mind as well. Generally, Venus and Taurus is really nice as well. It's going to be there for the whole of June. June the 8th, Mercury is in Cancer in the 2nd house. When Mercury is in Cancer, it brings a real nostalgic edge. And this really, I find, is a lot about challenging the thoughts that we've had, especially around finances for the 2nd house, when it comes to what we had in childhood and what our parents had. And also really just challenging that peace of mind as well that we want to have and what seems to come back from the past a lot of the time. This is a really good time as well to ask for a raise, for example, especially with your boss, and say, this is going to help me grow this particular part of my family and my home, and I just really need this kind of thing. And they're more likely to be a bit more susceptible to that because Mercury is in Cancer. June the 9th, Jupiter enters Cancer in the second house. So Jupiter's left your sign where it's been there for a whole year. And there's a mixed bag of a lot of Gemini saying, yes, it was lucky. No, it wasn't. I don't really know. You always have to look to where Jupiter is in your chart. What is next to it? What is it blowing up? Sometimes you can have Jupiter and it's gorgeous, and it's exalted in something like Cancer, but it's right next to like Mars in Cancer. Well, then that's not great, is it? So you always have to check your chart. In the second house, generally though, Jupiter is really great. The second house is a house that Jupiter likes to be in because it really expands your finances. So this is fantastic for getting money and prosperity and abundance. Also really nice for trusting your instincts as well and just knowing you've got stability and like, I know the universe is going to look out for me. It's really lucky and nice. Could also find that you are changing your diet as well. This can sometimes be a little bit of an energy of binge eating at times, so do be careful of like eating too much, especially when you're like, you know, when people get really happy and in love, they're like, oh, I'm going to eat loads of stuff. Sometimes it's like just keeping everything in moderation. But generally Jupiter in Cancer, second house, mwah, chef's kiss, it's nice. June the 11th, full moon in Sagittarius in your 7th house of committed relationships and contracts. This is a nice full moon just to let go of any toxicity and boringness, I would say, or staleness when it comes to a relationship, being like, this is stale and boring. I want something more exciting. I want a quest for adventure. Summer is here, and you might want to really break through from any old routines as well. Get rid of an old contract or commitment and be like, look, I need to start fresh, like a new apartment, new job, new project, something where you're not fixed or rooted down anymore. June 17th, Mars enters Virgo in the 4th house. This is a really nice ideal time to connect with yourself and prioritize self-care, look after your family, make sure you're scheduling any appointments that your family needs, making sure that you are, I would say, crossing your T's and dotting your I's when it comes to the home and making sure that everything is not broken, because honestly, when Mars is in Virgo, especially in the 4th house, it's one of those times where you think everything's fine and then everything just goes at once. So it's just like, make sure I do a little MOT of myself and everything around me. Mars in Virgo also is quite self-critical, so just be careful of internalizing anything that your family says to you. It's a hardly ever reality. Families can be bitchy as, so sometimes it's like, look, you can criticize me, but it's not real. It's just projection most of the time. Just remember that. June the 20th, Sun enters Cancer in the 2nd house for you. This is the summer solstice, longest day of the year. So if you can, treat yourself with the 2nd house of finances, treat yourself to a nice little treat, a luxury, spend time with family. This is just a really nice time to just be out there and be more social. June 25th, there's a new moon in Cancer in the 2nd house. Really great new moon to put roots down. This is fantastically lucky day as well. In that 2nd house, use what Jupiter is doing in Cancer to, get the ball rolling for manifesting more money, manifesting that expansion of income, different sources of income as well. And remember that your emotions are always the source of the strength where everything is going to come from, basically. June 26th, Mercury enters Leo in the 3rd house. Mercury rules the 3rd house, so this is quite apt. Leo is very bold and very kind of like big and rules the heart as well. So great time to say things from the heart and be bold and be fiery. But I always say, when you're making a grand declaration like, I love you, I've always loved you, make sure that you can back that up or you can follow through with anything you say, because people will challenge you on what you've said during this period. So Gemini, I hope you enjoy that reading. And no, Jupiter's not in your sign anymore, so you aren't getting that look. But I think actually, in some ways, the Jupiter being in the 2nd house is almost better because it's expanding that income and it's just fine. It's like a rich bitch energy. So it's like, I like this energy too. So hopefully you enjoy it, and I'll move on to Cancer. Hello Cancers, and welcome to the June horoscope. And wee Skippy, this is a fantastic month. I know a lot of Cancers have been saying, where's this lucky year that we were promised? And I'm telling you, this is the month that kickstarts it, and it's going to be for the rest of the year, actually till around June 2026. So buckle in, it's going to be fun. So at the start of June, we have Venus in Taurus in the 11th house for you. Venus is exalted in Taurus. It really loves to be there. In the 11th house, this is going to bring a lot of harmony to friendships and social community, to wishes, to career and networking, and also just feeling like you're part of something bigger than yourself. Venus in Taurus is really going to bring a lot of sensuality as well. So you might find that you're doing something really creative and fun with friends, and generally having a bit of flirtation with people as well. I really like this transit, and it's going to be there for the rest of June as well. June the 8th, Mercury enters Cancer, your sign in the first house of self. This will bring a almost nostalgic feeling to your sense of identity. You might be communicating with old family members or old friends and being like, oh, do you remember when we did this together? You know, it's really, really quite lovely. And it's a really wonderful time to almost push yourself to reflect on the past and then everything that you have learned as well from that. June the 9th is the biggie, so Jupiter enters Cancer in the first house of self. So this is fantastic. It's going to bring the look that we've been talking about. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. It really likes to be there. In the first house of self, this is going to bring a lot of expansion to your goals, your sense of identity. You might change up your appearance. Generally, it brings a lot of look. So this is one of the best places for it to be. And of course, it's going to bring a lot of spiritual enlightenment and intuition to you as well. We will say, I say we, a lot of astrologers say, we will say this is actually quite good for love as well, because you're projecting a really lucky, exciting, magnetic appearance to other people, and they're really drawn into that as well. And in August, we also have a gorgeous Jupiter-Venus conjunction as well, which is great for love. So Jupiter in Cancer gives a lot of potential to everything in your chart. Always look at where Jupiter is in your natal chart, because it will expand what's near it and that house that it's in. So I just want to mention that as well, because it can be very expansive. June the 11th, we have a full moon in Sagittarius in the 6th house. This is really letting go of any old routines that you don't want anymore, especially like a physical routine where you're like, I tried this at the gym, it's not really working for me, or like, this is boring, I need to find something more exciting. Could also be saying goodbye to a coworker or leaving a project at work to move on to something else as well. Generally, you're probably feeling very bored with certain routines and wanting to move to something new. With the Sagittarius energy, it's like, I want more excitement and more just like quest for adventure, basically. June 17th, Mars enters Virgo in the 3rd house. This is like perfectionism that like trips you up a little bit. So in the 3rd house of productivity, where Mars is actually quite good because it's all about productivity and courage, this is a little bit like, I want to try and do everything, and actually I need to take a step back and be kind to myself, because you can be very self-critical sometimes, where it's like, I need to obsess over doing everything, and if I'm productive, then I am contributing to society and I am a good person. And actually, sometimes you can just sit back and, you know, take some time to breathe and enjoy yourself. You could also find great achievement and success with a writing project, social media, or something where you're able to, you know, really feel like I've put pen to paper and created something. June the 20th, Sun enters your sign, Cancer. So if you're a Cancer Sun watching this, then happy birthday for the future. This is the summer solstice, which is the longest day of the year. Great time to spend time with loved ones. Jupiter's in Cancer during this time as well. So it's like, get the barbecue out, you know, have a little party, have some fun, really enjoy yourself during this time. June 25th, we have a new moon in Cancer in the 1st house of self. I love this new moon because it's super, super lucky and it's just really beautiful. I just really like it. It's just a lucky day generally, like regardless of the new moon, it's a lucky day. In the 1st house of self, get that ball rolling for Jupiter in Cancer. Start manifesting the things that you want in your life, the goals, the appearance, the love, everything. And remember, feeling is the secret. So the emotions and the feeling, it's all the source of your manifestation. June the 26th, Mercury enters Leo in the 2nd house. Mercury in Leo is very bold, so it's really making declarations and speaking from the heart, because Leo rules the heart. In the 2nd house of income and finances, you could be saying something quite bold about your finances, even putting an affirmation into the universe with Jupiter in Cancer, saying, I'm so rich I can afford anything I want, and then being bold about it. The thing about Leo is, though, if you make a grand declaration, you say something bold, you must follow through on that. So if you say, I'm a millionaire, I'm so rich I can afford anything I want, you need to put the steps in to make that happen. Same with if you tell somebody, oh my God, I love you so much. And then they go, okay, well, marry me. And you're like, well, I don't love you that much. You know, you have to kind of follow through with everything, because Mercury in Leo is bold, but there's also consequences to this as well. So overall, Cancer, this is the most fantastic month for you. You're going to be the luckiest sign of all the zodiac signs this month, and probably for the preceding months too. So hopefully this will be exciting. Let me know in the comments if you're excited for this. You know, have you had a tough time recently? Are you excited for Jupiter going into Cancer? Let me know, and I hope you enjoy this reading, and I will move on to Leo.